Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is a super important episode. Make sure you get out your notebooks and start taking notes because we're going to figure out how to get those IP complaints removed from your account. So stick around. So if you've been selling on Amazon for any amount of time, really, you've probably received an IP complaint of some sort. So the first thing that you want to do, first thing that's going to happen is you're going to get an email about it, right? And you got to make sure you keep that email because you need a lot of that information that you can really only get from that email. It's super hard to try to track it down after the fact. So the first thing in that email is going to be the person's email who filed the complaint, okay? So you're going to want to keep that. You need the complaint ID number, the ASIN of the product that's in question, the trademark number that they claim you're infringing on, and then what type of complaint that you've received. So IP is just a generalized term for intellectual property, but there's different kinds of intellectual property complaints. The two main ones that we've been getting recently, most recently, is counterfeit and authenticity. Okay, so those are the two I'm going to address here. Most of them are answered somewhat the same way, but these are the two that most people are getting right now. So I'm going to tell you what I do. It's worked for me in the past. As you know, Amazon is constantly changing the rules in the middle of the game. So what worked on one IP complaint may not work on the other IP complaint, or you may get cleared your first submission on one, you may get cleared on your 10th submission on the next one. So, but we're going to try to go through all the steps that you need to take to get these complaints removed to keep your account nice and clean. Okay. So the first thing you want to do, you want to send an email to the person that filed the complaint. Okay. Now, with the counterfeit complaints, there's two kinds really. There's one that says counterfeit without a test by and one with a test by. So what that means is that the person who's making the complaint is saying they're accusing you of selling a counterfeit product, but they have not purchased the product from you to verify that it's counterfeit. So as you know, with Amazon, you're guilty until proven innocent. So you have to prove that it's not counterfeit. So, but you might not have to do that right away, okay? Because like I say, you want to email a complainant first, the person who filed this complaint, and their email is going to be in the email that you receive from Amazon. So generally what I do is I type up one paragraph that I introduce myself, that, you know, this is my shop, you filed a complaint ID number, whatever, 1234, and you're accusing my company. I say this, you're accusing my company of selling counterfeit products, which is a reflection on everything my company sells, and that's unacceptable. And I'll say something along the lines of that my product is not counterfeit. I'll even submit the receipt to that person, okay? And then I'll go on to say that, you know, and this is up to you. Usually I'll say that I will discontinue selling this product in writing if necessary, if you remove this complaint from my account, okay? Sometimes I don't say that. It just depends on what it is, you know, and if I get a response or not. Most of the time I get a response and it's a real person and they'll say, yeah, you know, we're the only authorized distributor of this product and you're not allowed to sell it. Well, which is completely false, honestly. They may be the only authorized distributor, but that does not mean you cannot sell it. And those are by Amazon's own rules. But as you know, and I even looked it up today to verify, Amazon specifically says that people use distribution rights to file counterfeit claims and they're not allowed to, but they do it anyway and Amazon accepts it. So you just tell that person what they want to hear, and usually, and I've had good luck with that, getting them to remove the complaint. Now, if I promise not to sell the product anymore, then I stick to that, okay? If sometimes you can ask them, hey, listen, you know, I only have two, will you allow me to sell through those? Or would you allow me to sell through my inventory and I won't relist it? If you're communicating with the person, you might be able to work something out with them, okay? So that's step one. Now, what if you don't get a response? What if they don't answer? I send like 2, maybe 3 emails. I say that I've involved my attorneys in this matter, and if I don't get a response now, I have to try to get Amazon to remove the complaint, which is usually more difficult. With Amazon, with these types of complaints, I just submit my plan of action, which, you can find plans of action online. It's really not that hard. You just change one ASIN for the other one, and they don't even read them. They just want to see one. So you put a plan of action there. Then you put in your receipt or invoice or both if you have it. I also put in there a screenshot showing that I've had if I've sold some, that I've had no complaints about counterfeit items. If I've sold none, I'll show that, where I haven't sold any of this product, so I'm being accused of selling a counterfeit product that hasn't sold at all. Whatever type of evidence that you can find in your account, okay? One trick that I've been using that can work as well is there's a government website. I'm gonna write it down right here. It's uspto.gov. So it's uspto.gov. And that is the US government website where they have a record of all trademarks that exist, basically, right? So if you go to that website and you type in the trademark number from the email that you received, you'll be able to click on that and see all this information about that particular trademark, including the person who has the trademark rights, okay? And sometimes there's an email or even a phone number associated with that. So you can email them and say, hey, I received this complaint on my Amazon account. Do you know anything about it? If you can get a communication with them, you can copy that and send it along with your evidence, along with the emails where you've been attempting to contact the person who filed the complaint in the first place and you're not getting a response. So you have like 4, 5, 6 attachments to your response. Most of the time, that's gonna work. And sometimes you gotta submit it 2 or 3 times because you'll get an auto response from Amazon saying we don't have enough information. If you get that more than twice, sometimes calling Amazon is just like talking to a brick wall, but sometimes you can get the person to look it up for you and then they'll tell you why it's being rejected, because Amazon doesn't tell you. They don't tell you, oh, well, it's missing this, can you fix it or whatever. They don't tell you. They just say, we don't have enough information, figure it out for yourself. So if you call Amazon, sometimes you can get them to tell you, well, it's missing this, or they notated that you needed that. I just had one where they said, oh, you didn't say what color it was. I mean, they're just looking for a reason, right? So sometimes you'll be able to get that information, okay? Here's another thing I learned when I called Amazon that I think is completely ridiculous. I received an IP complaint on a product. I emailed the person who filed it, didn't get a response, multiple tries, no response. I send all my documents to Amazon to get them to remove it. They remove it, okay? They send that email that says, oh, sometimes we err on the side of caution, whatever. So they removed it. A week later, I get another one from the same person on the same product. So I'm thinking, well, this has got to be a mistake. I can't imagine they would let the same person do the same thing to the same product after I've already been cleared, right? Wrong. I call Amazon and I said, yeah, I think it's a mistake. Can you take a look? And he's like, oh no, they filed another complaint. I said, well, yeah, I can see that, but I was already cleared of this complaint. Why were they allowed to do it again? And the response was, they allow this person to file up to 3 times on the same product, on the same person, until they investigate it. So now I have to defend myself on the same thing 3 times in a row? Yeah, you do. So now this complaint in particular, I submitted the same exact documents that I did before, and I'm still getting auto responses. I'm up to like 7 auto responses on this one now. So if you get to that point where you're like 6, 7 auto responses saying they don't have enough information and you're not really getting anywhere, there's one final thing that you can try that might get that complaint removed. And what you do is you send an email to, I'm gonna write that down right here. So I hope you have all this written down, especially the USPTO. website. There's 2 emails that you can send your information to. And the first one is unclejeff@amazon.com, okay? That's not, obviously he doesn't check that email, right? But somebody does check it. And I'm sure they probably get hundreds, tens of thousands of emails on a daily basis. But they do look at them, and it could take some time, but they do look at them. So you just put in the subject, and before I tell you, let me put down the second email that you want to send to is called account-health-post-support at amazon.com. Okay, so write those 2 down if you can read it. Jeff@amazon.com and account-health-post-support at amazon.com. And what you do there is, you put in the subject your complaint ID. Your first paragraph should say, my name is, whoever, I'm the proprietor, sole proprietor, owner, operator of XYZ business. I received this IP complaint for this, this, and this. And, you can go on to say, and don't, with Amazon's sensitive, so don't get testy in your email. You just say, I've submitted my documents multiple times. I've submitted my invoice. I've submitted my plan of action. I'm continuously getting auto responses, and I'm hoping that you can help me with this issue. Please review the documents that I have attached, and I look forward to your response, or I look forward to this complaint being removed from my account, whatever the case. And then the rest of that email should be your plan of action, okay, after that. Then you attach your other documents and send it, and then keep your fingers crossed and see what happens. I don't recommend skipping right to this, because don't do this first. It's definitely last resort, because I've heard of people doing this and then getting their account suspended. I don't know if it's true. There's more likely a chance you're not going to get a response if you're, because if someone actually does look, they're going to look and see, well, this guy submitted this 12 times, and yeah, he is getting auto responses. So you want to make sure that you've done your diligence more than enough before you send an email to this, okay? So the other type of complaint that we deal with sometimes is the authenticity complaint. That can come in when I've gotten one where 2 people, allegedly 2 different people, bought my product and then returned it and then claimed it was inauthentic, which I believe is a drop down when you go to make a return, and they selected inauthentic. And that was, alarm bells were raised at Amazon. They shut down the listing, and now they wanted proof that it was authentic. And they literally they called me and gave me 48 hours to prove it. And I said, well, I'm working on it. I said, because now you don't have anyone, you don't have someone who made a complaint that you can answer to. Not like not like a regular IP complaint where you have an email from the person that filed the complaint. No, this is just a random person that you cannot contact that made an authenticity complaint. Now you have to prove to Amazon that your product is authentic. How do you do that? In a lot of ways, you do it the same as with counterfeit, where you send your invoices or receipts. Amazon, tells you that receipts are acceptable, but then when you send receipts, they say, oh, we want invoices. An invoice is a receipt, essentially. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit of the things that I do to try to appease Amazon, and you can judge if I'm doing the right thing or not, but this is what I do. So if I have a receipt and Amazon keeps pressing me for an invoice, which, like I said, is the same thing, and they're supposed to accept receipts, especially for counterfeit complaints, which they don't want to, I'll create an invoice on my computer, because all it is just a more organized receipt, essentially. So I'm not lying. I bought the product. I even put down where I bought it from. I don't make up a place. You know, if I bought my product from Ross or from Marshall's, I'll make something that says invoice Marshall's. I'll put all the information on there that they want to see. I'll put word for word what the item is, what I paid for it, everything. And I've had that work too. That has worked. Some people will say that, you know, sending fake documents could get your account suspended. To me, it's not a fake document. All I did was I reorganized the same exact information that was true onto a PDF instead of a photo of a receipt that was crinkled up and shoved in my pocket for a couple days. So, you know, I've done that with actual invoices that I bought, where I bought a Marvel I was trying to get ungated in Marvel. I bought a Marvel product, but in the description, the word Marvel wasn't there, even though it was a Marvel product. So Amazon says, oh, well, it doesn't say Marvel, so it doesn't count. Well, I'm not gonna buy 10 more of something else just to get the word Marvel on my invoice. So I added the word Marvel on my invoice and I sent it in and it worked. Did I lie? No, it is a Marvel product. It just didn't have as much of a description as Amazon wanted to see. So, you know, that's what I do. I'm not a lawyer. I don't work for Amazon. You know, you do all of these things at your own risk, okay? So I want to make sure that you understand that what I'm doing, maybe I am taking a risk, but I'm in my mind, I'm not lying. I haven't lied to them. I just reorganized the information in a way that they wanted to see it. Still the right information. So those are things that you can do that can work. Sometimes at the end of the day, nothing works. You know, what works for one IP complaint isn't going to work for the other IP complaint. Sometimes you automatically get exonerated. Sometimes it takes a month to get exonerated. Sometimes Amazon will sit there and say, oh, well, we're not going to accept any more documents from you. I'm going to keep sending them until you do. So if you get to that point too, if you get to the point where they send you a response saying that they're not going to accept any more documents and that this is going to stay on your account for 180 days, you can keep sending them stuff, you know, and that's when you reach out to these emails right here, okay? Excuse me. That's when you reach out to these emails here at that point when they tell you they're not going to accept any more documents. I think this year there's been a lot of changes with Amazon because last year I was getting, any IP complaints I was getting were just kind of really general IP trademark complaints. Like they weren't these counterfeit complaints like they are now. And most of those were removed from my account, but they weren't removed from my account actually. They stayed there, but Amazon's response was that there's no further action required on my part, that they've accepted my documents. So it was kind of weird where they would say, okay, you're exonerated, but they wouldn't remove the complaint from your account. It would still stay there. Now, with these counterfeit complaints, at least, they're actually being removed. So I'm down to 1 now. I had 5. I'm down to 1 now. And today I just sent an email, this email today, because I've gotten like 7 auto responses. And this is the one where they told me that the color was missing. So I added the color in there. It's the same thing. In fact, it said B, the color of the item was blue. And it said there was the B letter was there and then the LUE was cut off. And they're like, oh, it doesn't say what color it is, so we're not gonna accept it. Okay, so I changed it and they're still not accepting it. So, you know, they lie right to your face. So that's why I have no problem lying right back to their faces either. So if you guys have any questions, or if you have any kind of IP complaints that I didn't cover, I mean, I know that there's trademark and counterfeit and patent complaints. Those are a lot of people don't really get those. Those types of complaints are like copyright complaints, are like, you know, if you're trying to sell a book that is unauthorized or something like that, you could get that. Like, I know that there's counterfeit books out there, like especially the textbooks, I guess. So you could get that type of complaint. If a trademark complaint is if like you're using someone's logo or something and you're unauthorized in your listing, if you made your own listing, I guess. So there's other types of complaints that most people don't, the common Amazon third-party seller doesn't really get. I think right now all of the third-party sellers like me are getting the counterfeit and the authenticity, and even the counterfeit is the most common, and it's the counterfeit without the test buy. I've never seen a counterfeit with a test buy actually. So, you know, I think that's the most common that everyone's dealing with right now. So hopefully this video was helpful, and make sure you like and subscribe and keep following my channel, and I'm gonna try to keep helping you guys out. So sell things on Amazon and make money.